So I know most of the listeners, they're familiar with AI in the form of a chat GPT or like you say, a Copilot, Bear, Gemini. You go type a prompt.
Right.
In this instance, when it comes to securing something, how does it work? Is it working? Is it like I'm trying to see how I will phrase this. Like, because I know, for example, there are certain security companies to where their tools can work with all the current tools you have.
Right.
And so it just kind of just plugs in and it's feeding everything in. And so that's how it works with like one main thing. But
Mhm.
in this scenario, I guess how does Q function leverage AI to do the things that you're saying that it can do for organization?
Absolutely. Yeah. So one thing, first things off is that Q function, I don't try to hide anything. Like, yeah, there is no secret sauce. Everything that I do, as well as the code that I write, is available for everyone to actually see. I don't try to hide AI from anyone because I think that there's going to be a case where eventually everyone's going to need some type of familiarity with it. But the way that Q function does it is that we take your existing logs, right? So whatever scene that you're using or whatever database that you're using that you want to better secure, we take those logs, right? Whatever you're trying to log, whatever you're trying to learn. The normal behavior for, whether it be systems, whether it be users, we take your existing logs and then train an AI model off of that existing data that you already have. We can then deploy that model, like, yeah, in how whatever fashion that you actually use, whether you want to deploy it in cloud, whether you want to deploy it on prem. And the way that it will work is that you would take any new incoming logs, feed it to the AI because it knows what's normal for your log set, and then it'll be able to tell you from a scale of 1 to 10, hey, how anomalous is this? Right. So going back to that chef example, if you saw a chef using PS exec, that would probably be a 9 or a 10 on the anomaly scale because that doesn't happen. And because the AI would be able to put that to be able to determine that, you would effectively be able to ingest that right back into your existing scene. And then if you say, hey, if we see an anomaly on a scale ranked from like 8 to 10 or something like that, or depending whatever your organization is, you can go do your own automation from there. You can implement that into your existing SOAR. You can, send an email alert. It is very extensible on how you actually do it. So that's the general purpose or the general way that I do it. In terms of the actual algorithms involved, we can get into that. That's more anomaly detection algorithms, and there are different ways of doing that. But that is the general process of how Q function works. It's very customized to your environment.
Okay. No, I mean,
Mm,
I think that answered everything. I looked at it as like a buffer or some type of proxy that's feeding through. Like once the logs are coming in
yes.
to, they want to go to Splunk. Splunk is right here. Let me see.
Yes.
I got this thing mirroring me, but uh, these are the logs. This is Splunk, and now when we go in the middle, this is Q function.
Yes.
So that's how I understood it. It like goes through there and it's saying, okay, we don't like this one. Send this one to like make a notable alert, and we're gonna look into this some more.
Exactly. Like, yeah. And again, it can be implemented as however you see fit. So the way that I see it is you already have logs going into your scene, right? So the
Right.
way that I see it happening is more just, hey, you have these existing logs, feed them over to the Q function, right? Feed them over to the actual model that knows, and that model can be anywhere. And then from there, that model, like you said, can create a notable. It can create an email, whatever you see fit, because you're only limited by whatever you can program, right? Like, yeah, or if you want, you can say instead of sending it, just send the data right back into your actual scene. So then now you can do everything from within your scene. And the reason why that's important is because we are flooded. And when I say we, cybersecurity professionals are flooded with different tools. We have, in my
So
opinion,
many.
way too many to look at already. We need to reduce that. And what we're seeing now with vendors is that everyone is sprinkling the letters AI on everything. Unfortunately, it's requiring you to buy an entirely different product to implement in your environment. And for anyone who works in IT in an established company, that's very hard. Implementing an entirely new product is very hard, especially when you have one existing already. You have to
Yep.
get stakeholder buy-in, you have to have the funds, you have to have the support. It's really hard. So the problem with that is, everyone, at least in my opinion, deserves to be able to get the benefits of AI. So how can you do that? You have to bake it into what you already have. Because if you require someone, some type of SOC personnel, to go to a completely different dashboard, now you're just kind of screwing up their flow. Again, they have too much stuff to look at already. Why do you want to
Tell
put
me
them
about it.
into yet another tool? Like, yeah, so that, and the reason why that I know the problem is because I've seen it, I've done it, I know the problems, I've seen them. So there has to be a way for people to benefit from AI without having to buy a completely separate product. Like, yeah, that's not fair. Like, yeah, that's not fair in my opinion anyway. So that's what Q function is trying to offer, a way to be able to benefit from AI without having to completely uproot your existing cybersecurity infrastructure.
Yeah, I agree.
Mhm.
Especially LinkedIn has this thing where you can be like a top security voice, and now they have these different articles you can contribute to. And it was
Right.
one of the ones I was asking me about automation, and I said, "Hey, some organizations don't need SOAR. They don't even have their SIM tuned correctly, and so you now are making them do double the work because they got to go back and forth here and here, and there's no automation even happening with this with the SOAR tool. So it's like, why do you have it if they're going to do manual stuff in here?
Right. Exactly.
It's
Yeah. Yeah. So, and like I always try to market Q function as a way, we're not trying to give you value that you don't need, because if you're not collecting the proper data, if your seam isn't tuned, you can't touch this yet. People think that AI is going to, solve everything. You still need the basics of cybersecurity. You still need IT asset management. You still need to know what's on your network. You still need vulnerability management. You still need your existing infrastructure before you start going into AI based some solutions. Work on your fundamentals first before you start going into AI, because as of this point, I believe that AI is going to more augment what you already have, but you have to have something first,
right.
right? It's not going to be able to say, "Hey, we're just going to solve everything." You still need a supportable infrastructure for you to gain benefit from it. And I think that vendors are just saying, "Hey, AI, you should buy it because AI, and it's AI."